Alright, welcome back to the SuperCoach Nuff channel. In this video, we're going to do the round 3 review for 2026 AFL SuperCoach season. So the second of the early buy rounds, and we went okay, scored at 1842, which was a bit down in terms of round rank, but we actually moved up overall, so 1,000 spots up, so sitting at 23.5k. So green arrows in the overall is always nice. And a league win as well is pretty nice too. So if we have a look at the team this week, Jack Sinclair scored a 114, so he continues to score well. But I guess the problem with the Saints and the GWS on the bye this week, a lot of the premium defender options seem to be in those two teams. So you've got Ash and Whitfield from GWS, and obviously Nass and Sinclair. So I think defences might be a little bit lighter on this week. And mine's compounded by also owning Fonty. He scored an 80. So, not setting the world on fire with cash gen. By this week, 57, break even next week. He might squeeze to 400k in a couple of weeks, but it is a slower burn. Lockie Blackiston, 60 points. So it was a toss-up between him and Windsor for our third trade out last week. And I think Windsor did a little bit better from memory. Yeah, scored 70. So we did miss out on 10 points there. He made 11k in cash. Blackiston made 5k, so we missed out on 5k there. But yeah, probably one we want to try to move on sooner rather than later if we can. Sam Grill, 68, as a cheapie, that's okay. Josh Lindsay got named in the end to play, scored 70. So, yeah, on the bubble this week, if you don't have him, he's probably a great downgrade target to Blackiston. And then ZZ missed out on selection. There was an injury, but don't know if he's the next man up in terms of that position. So we'll wait and see. And then Jake's and Strong off the bye will be welcome additions to the defence this week. In the midfield, Butters with a 126 as captain was decent. We did bring in Nick Dacos, and he carved up with a 150, so that was a great result. Caleb Sarong with a 135, so a bit of a roller coaster to start the year, but 2 ups and 1 down, we'll take that. Sam Walsh, a pretty consistent 100, so I think at his price, that's fine. Darcy Parish, 67, and just not just him, but the D's just looking, the Bombers just looking terrible. So he's probably on the chopping block this week. Tanner Brune, 47, I think he busted his nose or something, which affected his score. So probably a forgive in that case. Jagger Smith with an 88. Great scoring from the rookie, made 90k off the rip. Blue Myers, 85, so he's made about 80k as well. Jack Carroll with a 40 was obviously an emergency, didn't need him. And Dylan Sharp not in the team, and don't know if you'd want to be in that team at the moment, just quietly. The Rucks, so Cherry obviously had a bit of a mare, 68 points, and also has got himself 3 weeks off. So Tribunal just finished up just before recording this. So probably a trade out, particularly given we're well covered in the ruck position. Luke Jackson with the 108 was not the massacre we were expecting against Richmond's lack of rucks, but probably job sharing with Darcy a bit did limit that. So in the end, probably didn't need to make the trade. But with Cherry potentially on the chopping block this week, not entirely upset by it. At the forwards, she's a 145. Don't need to say too much more about that. Flanders with 93 was solid. I don't think he's going to be the 120 point scorer from a couple of years back, but he'll do for now in the forward line. We brought in Cook, and he scored an 80, which was pretty handy. Dev Rob 53, and I think he's getting a week off, so might be a forward short at the moment. Philippou with 69, um, is an improvement on his previous scoring. So, um, yeah, on the buy this week, but it's going to slowly start ramping up in price. And then Marshall was a late out with an ankle. Don't know the recovery time yet, um, but he should make cash once he's back fit and firing. So he probably just hold. And then McAndrew with a 68 as well. So, you know, he's made 80k and still got a nice break even, negative 33. Tough one this week against Freo, but we're not too worried about him at this point. In terms of the game day matchups this week, got a win over Tavariousness King, Steve's team. It's an interesting name. With a 16-29 in the end for Steve. He VC'd Finn Callahan and took it, so 124 was pretty handy. Um, Whitfield with the 128, Ash with the 106. So as I said, a couple of these premium defenders missing this week, which is interesting. Um, Willem Dersma with a 104. So I guess everyone sort of faded him thinking the scoring wasn't going to be there. He was a bit expensive as a number one draft pick, but he made 66k and still got a negative break even. So I don't think he can get on now at 270k, but well done if you did. Watkins was 69, nice cheapy price there. Jai Cully, a little bit of a pod, 85. He's one I've been interested in the past, and he's made a little bit of cash, but yeah, not that interested. And then same picks there. So I guess day cost was a bit of an advantage, but I guess as well not having to cop a 42, didn't cop Dev Rob's 53 in the end. So even Blackerson's 60 dropped off of our field. So our lowest was Parrish with a 67. So pretty decent this week. But across the league, a couple of 1900s, but Rude Awakening, David's team got the Chockies with a 1938. So he had Kitty Coleman, even 100, which is nice. Try Caldwell and Merritt. Decent scores there for the Bombers. Cozzy Pickett with a 135 and Jack Steele. So a couple of D's boys going big this week. And then, yeah, solid scoring. Lowest was a 68 for McAndrew and Cherry. So, yeah, well done. Josh Dacos with a 117 was good. What's his price at? 540. I don't know if I can afford that this week. But interesting to note. We'll go and have a look at the Open League. See if anyone can beat a 1930, whatever I just said. 1940 for Trav's Terminators. Wait, 2065 for Twigs FC, Leafs team. Yeah, it looks like the 2000s got it. So well done, Leaf. Let's have a look. So VC Dacos, which is a great start, had Bailey Smith for a 172. Worrell, McKercher in defence. Even Roberts turned up in defence. So some solid scoring there from the defence. And none of those guys are overly expensive either. All sort of the mid price. Roberts at 447. McKercher 445. Worrell has pushed up to 500, but that's still decent. Um, had Cozzy Pickett as well. Nice pod. But still had Sarong Sheasel. And yeah, well done, Leif. Great scoring there this week. Quick look at the other players that went big this week. So Bailey Smith was number one. Luke Parker with a 161. So was averaging 100 before this week too. So maybe not completely out of the blue there at 513k and break even of 75. It's interesting. This must have a big week one. So yeah, so two big hundreds with a 67 wedged in the middle. So maybe consistency is an issue there. Tim Torano 148. Well, again off the back of a 100 average. So what's his deal? Yeah, so a couple of low hundreds and then the big 100 this week. So interesting potential little pod play. Fino Sullivan, defensive mid 350k, scoring 142. So I think that's well above his first couple of weeks. Yes, coming off a 42. So again, consistency might be a cause for concern there. Max Gorn, 131. So obviously, if you're looking to straight swap from Sherry, could do a lot worse than Big Maxi. He's in form, averaging 131. So bang on average this week. Um, yeah, so any other real surprises? Nothing super cheap jumping off the page. Elijah Holland scoring a ton at 310's handy if you had him. Willem Dersman we already talked about. So break evens. So still Murdoch number one with that 143. I think he's a couple weeks away still. So yeah, we'll get him as soon as he's ready to go. Lukosius backed up his first game with a 95, so he has a negative 62 break even at 240k. It's an interesting option. Jake Rogers coming off the bye this week, so a pair of, well, not a pair of 83s, but 83 average to start the year, so it could be interesting. Uh, Chase Jones didn't back up his first week with only a 38 this week. Jack Watkins still got a nice negative 51 break even. So might not be too late to get on. Ned Reeves coming off the bye. Um, yeah, don't know if I'm interested in that. Scary with just the 31 this week off the back of his 70 on debut. So bottom dollar, which is nice, but don't know about the scoring slash job security there. Um, Hugh Bond, maybe the defensive option this week, given he scored an 84, negative 35, break even. So, yeah, a little bit expensive though at 168. But Oscar Steen is one that I've seen a few people get around. 83 in his first game, so you are going early on the pick. But the dual position is handy. Obviously, if he is playing in the ruck, then that is helpful for his sort of base stats. Um, so yeah, probably one I'm going to look at this week and definitely look to target as a downgrade option next week. Um, but yeah, I can see some people going early, just given that there's no real standout bottom dollar cheapy options this week. Um, so yeah, in saying that, my trades this week. So with the news that Cherry's out for 3 weeks, does mean he misses out one of the big fixtures we were hoping for, which if I can get it up here, was the Richmond game without Nank. That you know, he filled up last year to the tune of 187, so we were kind of hoping for that again. uh, Brisbane he filled up on last year too, so that would have been a nice one to get. Does come back for GWS and Geelong, which is pretty nice, but I think it's a bit too much to hold that much cash for 3 weeks, particularly when we're not sitting, you know, top of the tree at the moment. So I think I'm going to take the sort of pretty obvious path of flicking McAndrew there, getting Bont in. So I was trying to wait a few more weeks, but he does play Essendon and Marvel this week, so very scared of fading him there. Um, yeah, and you know, because we've got Dogger, we've got Grundy already. Um, not too concerned about the ruck line. So we'll lock that trade in, and then we'll just have a bit of a look at how the team is set up. So um, we'll go sort of full strength, I think, to start with, and then we'll fix it up for the buys. So probably need to play Sarong on field, um, get Noah on field, probably for Myers. Guess it could sort of push Bont up here. Would leave us with Jagger at M8. Um, yeah, and then Butterick comes in for probably Filippo. Lombard. So Lombard probably wouldn't play normally. We'd play Marshall, Robinson, Cook, I think, over them. So, yeah, in terms of the forwards, happy with these guys. Lots of cash generation here, which is nice. We've got Steam next week. And then in a couple of weeks with the DPPs, we should get Tuke Miller as an option. So he'll be the prime sort of upgrade target in the forwards. Around that time, Track should hopefully be back too. So, yeah, there's definitely a couple of upgrade targets in the forwards. We're not going to worry too much about them. The midfield's looking pretty stacked, um, albeit probably don't want to play Parrish. So he's probably the one on the chopping block. Um, well, the first one off the chopping block, I suppose. Um, yeah, and then defense is obviously where we're pretty light on, and it's going to be real bad this week with Sinclair and Fonty both out. Um, so I think, as I said, we're going to trade Parrish, and then it's a case of who do we trade in. So if we just wanted a cheeky cash grab, we could look at a Lukosius and bank 120k. Um, if we wanted a cheapie like Watkins, we've already got a pretty loaded midfield. Like we can't even get Blamires on field at the moment. Um, so what if we can put him in the flex? We'd have to. I think we could really only move Grill. We could move Cook or Field, but then yeah, what forward are we bringing in anyway? We go back to the Koshas maybe, but um, yeah. So what if we want to play McAndrew in the flex because he'll be sitting on the bench currently. Push ZZ down, so I guess we're sort of looking towards a defender. So the sort of obvious one I think is Bond on the bubble, maybe Bo Allen, solid 60s. Nick Murray, so he's a little bit more expensive mid price. We're trying to get away from the mid price guys. Selwood's probably the same price as Bond, so might as well take the slightly higher break even. And then that gives us 194. So we could potentially use another boost to get out of Blackiston. Let's go back to the round three summary. Who scored well? So, yeah, Finn O'Sullivan, not convinced. Farrell, I don't know too much about. 67, 89, and then a 141. Um, yeah, so Colby McKerch could be one we look at. Um, hang on, we'll go back to averages, maybe might be easier. So we're just out of range of Josh Worrell. We're well out of range from Jordan Clark. So all these guys are sort of over 500 already. Um, so yeah, it's probably like a McKercher we saw. I think we saw them in the round points in those 440 type picks. So McKercher, I don't know, it was in the team. Who else was there? Archie Roberts at that 440 price. And then Josh Worrell was at 500. So maybe we just back McKercher in as a bit of an upgrade. Or was it a one off sort of thing? I don't really know. Um, do we? It's a bit of a downgrade to be fair, but do we look at Kitty Coleman? It's his break even a 7, so he's going to make some cash, make some more cash. Could be nice. What's the difference? So about 100k up from Bond. What if I'll just remove that for a second. 662. So it seems kind of sideways doing a couple of mid-price trades. But could we go the cautious? It's only 420, so that wouldn't get us McKercher, would it? Go with the points. No, not quite. A little bit short. I guess the other option is, do we just go without the bond and try to get 200-point scores instead of a potential 200 score? I guess probably going to captain him this week, so yeah, I don't know if that's the best option. 600. So what if we were to look at um, Shelley? No. Can't find it. Just search for it. Worrell. And then, oh, he's gone in the flex, get up in the defense. And then we just pick ourselves a rookie we can afford. So we can't afford, we just miss out on Watkins, which is a bit flat. So we can't get Bond anymore. So our options are scary. Or Cherry, I think is how you're supposed to say it. Chase Jones. Um, and I guess in terms of like, because they'll be in the flex spot, we don't necessarily need them to play because we can put McAndrew or Blue Myers in the flex, I think, as a comfortable play this week. So McAndrew's got Freo, which is tough, and then Blue Myers has got Carlton, which might be a decent matchup. If we push Blue Myers in there, so we just bank Murdoch. We're going to bring him in anyway, eventually. Will Brody. So again, these guys aren't particularly playing. So there could be a few options for next week. So do we just go early on Steam? And means we can play McAndrew. He can just sit there. We can flick him in the forwards if we want to, mix it up a bit. Let's do it because this video is probably going too long. Cool. So now we'll get ourselves set up for this week. So McAndrew in the flex. Get Steen there. Put Lombard on field. I don't think Robinson's playing, but he can just sit there. That's fine. That's pretty much the midfield that we're running with. So Blamires is the emergency. And then just going to make the defence look pretty yuck, having Grill at D2. But could be worse, I suppose, if I didn't trade Worrell in. But yeah, they're a chance of playing, so we'll put them in. So we should get 22, 21 on field this week, which is pretty handy. Especially, can I do a little bit of DPP somehow to get Steen around? We'll get ZZ there, probably not yet, but we do have a bit of DPP coming for Buderick. Maybe Marshall if he can get back. So that'll definitely help with the flexibility of the team. But yeah, for now we're just trying to maximise cash gen. So then the vice captain and captain this week, Grundy against West Coast, VC, Bont, C. So I think what we'll do, and this will make the team look a little bit nicer, is I'll park Sinclair on field just as the loophole option if Grundy does go big against West Coast, which, West Coast rocks you can go big on. Blumeyes plays early in the round, so could potentially loop his scoring with Bruin if he does go big. So that'll work. Steen plays on Thursday night, so if he goes big, I don't know how we pull off that loop, but maybe we reverse some other trades and do something funky there. And then the forwards we're not too worried about. So, I think that's going to be the team going into this week. If you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to ask below this video. Give us a like if you enjoy the AFL stuff. Subscribe for all the fantasy sports content on the channel. Other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.